Mr. Joynt.
Yes. Let's go to war. I got my hat on.
Yeah, Civil War, right?
World War III. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now explain to everybody what your hat is.
This is what your and my ancestor on the Union side would have worn exactly had that hat survived. Second lieutenant, and that's the symbols of the Ninth Army of the Potomac, and that's what he served in and died wearing a hat like this on June 23rd, 1864 at the Siege of Petersburg. So he was in a war, and I guess you
Is
could.
that a real Civil War Union hat?
Well, it is a replica. I don't have the
Oh,
real
okay.
one. I don't have the real one, but this is what it would have looked like. Let's see. All right, there. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have had the Roman numeral at the 58th Massachusetts. So I found all that stuff online, and I bought this, copied it to scale, a little bit big for my fat head, but oh well.
That's all right. You got a big
Yep.
brain.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you know a lot of stuff. I mean, that's kind of why we're
Well,
talking about this
sure.
tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
we last week, I just live streamed uh, downtown Ukraine,
Wow.
and just to kind of get a different perspective, all you see is that one photo from the news, of a bombed building. You see that one area where there was a skirmish, and they make it sound like it's happening, rampant throughout
No,
the city,
it's not.
and um, so you know you got to kind of see what is really going on, and you can't just get everything from CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. You got to kind
Sure.
of find alternate sources, and you got to kind of look at both sides, because there's three sides to every story. You got their
Mm-hmm.
side, our side, and then somewhere in the middle is the truth. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's stupid just to kind of brush everybody off who just doesn't agree, but that's kind of what propaganda is, and that's
Yes.
where we get into a lot of this fog of war. What happens during war,
Yes.
steps leading up, full blown.
Yeah.
um
A lot of
Hold on,
propaganda. Propaganda.
I think we got cut off here.
Oops.
We're getting cyber
Oh
attacked.
no. Who's attacking?
No, the signal's just weak.
Yeah.
It's going down.
Yeah. You're a little bit weak. You're blurry, but you're
Yeah.
all right.
Is it? Can you hear me? Is it?
I can hear you. I can hear. I can see you now. It was just I think a bleep blip, maybe a solar flare or some New World Order
Yeah,
missile.
it's choppy. Well,
Yes.
anywho, your connection's fine, so maybe you can kind of come into this.
Okay.
So I just I figured it would be a good time for us to kind of discuss about what's happening now, and then kind of you're the expert historian,
Yeah.
so you can kind of go back and walk us through. You know, everybody looks at history, or at least I do, as it's kind of compacted.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about World War I, World War II, all the proxy wars,
Mm-hmm.
that they were just kind of like they happened kind of overnight or within a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and it's actually not true. These There was a buildup of years
Yes.
until the final declarations. Uh, they had to get a lot. They had to get the public behind them. So it's almost like, and this is just my perspective, is that they start beating down the public, the citizens, until they get
Mm-hmm.
so upset and so angry. Then they got someone to blame. They've been feeding
Mm-hmm.
you this finger pointing. This is who's responsible
Mm-hmm.
for your misery. And then, yeah, of course, now you're willing to go bear arms and go.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a foreign, and you're going to a foreign land to fight the
Yeah.
cause or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was looking through like World War I propaganda, World War II propaganda. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and we'll
Yeah.
look at some of that stuff here in a little bit.
Sure.
Uh, but yeah, and I had the live stream of downtown. I kind of wanted to start with this because you know the topic of tonight's show is World War III, and
Mm-hmm.
they're talking about it. I mean, it's in
Yeah.
the news that
Yeah.
this is a potential, and you've had economic collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Economies basically printing trillions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
worldwide. It's a global phenomenon. Inflation's a global phenomenon. So it's like this globalization effort. Is it coming apart? Is it unraveling? Are they going to ramp it up and
Yeah.
really, is there a deglobalization wing of this, and is that part of what's happening with Russia and China?
Huh.
They don't want to be part of this global thing. They want, who
Yeah,
knows,
sure. Sure. I thought of that.
uh,
I thought of that too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
now we're seeing in the news that Ukraine has biolabs and Russia's
Yeah.
attacking the nuclear power plants, and they're
Yeah.
concerned. And at first there was no biolabs. Now
Yeah.
there are biolabs, but they're for health concerns, or
Jeez.
they're for health. They're health labs, they called them. Well, and then they come out and say, well, we're concerned that if Russia gets a hold of these labs,
Yeah.
that, well, wait a second, I thought they weren't any big deal. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you don't know who to believe.
Yeah.
You don't
Exactly.
know who
No.
to trust. And
No.
then of course the media is just, it's like an echo chamber. The media says something and then the president says the exact same thing. And then
Yep.
the media, and then they repeat him and he repeats
Yeah.
them, and
The
it's like,
talking points come out,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
all
it's
the
like,
same. Build back
yeah.
better. Pretty soon, everybody's saying build back better. Threat
Yeah.
to our democracy. Everybody's saying it. Yeah, sure. It takes time. Go ahead. I can certainly comment on that when the time
Well, we
comes.
always
Sure.
say history repeats itself, but it
Yeah.
kind of rhymes too,
Yeah.
and so, when I was looking back at, all these different wars and these resetting of currencies, and it always, when the currency changes, when they want to
Mhm.
bring in a new system, there's always a war
Yeah.
that either
Digital.
happens right before World
Mhm.
War One. They, I think, the gold standard was set in 1816, I believe,
Something like that.
and so the British pound was the world currency at the
Yep.
time, right?
Yeah.
And then you had World War One, right? And then right around what World War One was, what, 19?
Well,
You know this better than
1914 in Europe, 1917 for the United
okay.
States,
So the Federal Reserve was enacted in 1913. You
1913,
had
the
the
year
Coinage
before.
Act,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yep.
So they
Yep.
reset the currency. They had a world war,
Yep.
right? And then you had the Great Depression, right? And that was right when Germany and all that stuff was happening with
Yep.
the Nazis and Hitler.
38,
And then,
38, 39.
yeah, yeah. And then you had World War II, right? Europe gets demolished. They can no longer afford to be the world currency, so then
Hmm.
the U.S. dollar takes over,
Yeah.
right?
That was
So
it.
that was kind of reverse. The money was switched right before World War One, and then right after World War Two, the world money switched, right? And then you had, obviously we had the Korean War, we had some other stuff
Hmm.
going on,
Hmm.
and then you had in 1971, Nixon got us off the silver standard. So
Yes.
now it was a Federal Reserve note,
Hmm.
right? So now we basically sold our debt to the
Yeah.
world, right?
Yeah.
And
And
then
no.
that was right
Yeah.
during the Vietnam.
Yeah. Well,
Vietnam started in,
the 64 with the Gulf of
right,
Tonkin resolution,
right,
and that was 63. When Kennedy was assassinated. You had the his movement to adjust, the currency back at that time.
yeah. So he had
So
he
yeah,
yeah. So he didn't want us off the gold,
no.
the silver certificates and all that. He didn't want that. He
So
didn't want
he's
the war.
gone. He's
Yeah.
gone, and Johnson's in. And in '64, the
Yeah,
Gulf
so
of
Kennedy
Tonkin
gets shot,
resolution.
basically a coup,
Yeah, coup
right? He
d'état.
was in the way,
Yep, yep,
right? So they had to get rid of him.
yeah,
And so then the currency changes,
yes,
years later. Okay,
hmm,
right in 64, yeah, they took us off they stopped
yes,
making our coins with silver.
yep. And that's when you start to see the little filler in the quarters of whatever that
Yeah.
was, copper or something. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was looking at
and
some of
then,
them the other
right,
day.
so the Nixon is takes us off the silver certificates, and then it's a Federal
Hmm.
Reserve note, right? So now
60.
we're
Yes.
selling our debt,
Yep.
right? We can print as much money as we want.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is like, so if you go into a McDonald's here in America and you try to use pesos, you can't buy anything, right?
No.
Or if you go to uh, wherever here in America, and you try to buy something with some other currency, you can't use it. But you could go anywhere in the world and use your money. Now, I'm sure some places probably don't like take it because there's
Hmm.
an exchange rate involved and
Yeah.
and,
Sure.
and all that. But we're the only country that we could take our currency, go anywhere we want in the world
Yes.
and use it.
Yes.
Whereas they can't do that here. It's mind boggling to think how money and all that works. But then what you had the 80s, right? That's when the credit and the
Right.
debit system and all that came in. That went around for a while. And then what was it, 2008? The market crash, right? They tried to,
Yes.
they printed a ton of money then, right?
August 2008.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. And then now
August
here we
7th.
are,
Yep.
again, uh,
On the
dollar's
verge
been devalued.
on the verge of a digital currency.
Exactly. That's where I was going next. You have the Fed coin. China's about to bring it in. They're about to go full digital.
Yeah.
Uh, this global digital banking system. And so, to me, you just have to kind of follow the money to see, all this other stuff that's going on. What
Mm-hmm.
Russia this, Russia that. China this, China that. All that is to me a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
It's the money, it's the power that what is really motivates these people. And I'm sure some of them are evil.
Yeah.
Okay, they're evil. They're degenerates. They've lived privileged lives. They don't understand the suffering and all that of regular, day-to-day people. And they probably look down on people. They're narcissists,
Mm-hmm.
psychopaths. You can get into all that.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hitler used the collapse of the Deutschmark soon after he became chancellor to totally destroy the credibility of the Weimar Republic. To go
Yeah,
ahead and bring in the Nazi Party,
yeah,
National
you go
Socialist.
after the
Yeah.
money. You
Yep.
go after the money.
Follow the money.
And then look what's happening here.
Yeah.
CPI report, the Consumer Price Index report came out yesterday. 7.9% inflation. That's if you take out fuel and food, which is
Wow.
ridiculous. So when
Yeah.
you add fuel, it's
Yeah.
it's double digits.
Yeah.
And so our
Yeah.
currency's just
People
being
don't
wiped
realize
away.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and then we do all these economic sanctions. Okay,
Yeah.
but what do you now? China, India, and Russia, the three biggest global powers, besides, well, not the biggest global powers, but pretty big, right?
Yes.
Billions of people
Yeah.
are now
India.
being taken
Yeah.
off of our market. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to use our money anymore. So you're setting up, you're seeing the setup of a alternate currency now,
Yeah.
which we've sanctioned Russia. They can't use SWIFT. They can't trade. China's helping them out. So they're
Mm-hmm.
already setting up this alternate economy
Mm-hmm.
to get away from American. And once that happens, I mean, our dollar. The reason why we can print our monetary policy, the reason why we can print all our money is because other country has to buy our money
Mm-hmm.
at the exchange rate to purchase oil. That's why it's called the petrodollar.
Yes.
You have to
Jeez.
buy oil with American money.
Yeah. Wow. And that won't be long.
That's not going to be long.
No, part of the Great Reset. And who was
So
it
that's what I'm
today?
saying.
Yeah.
Like, this has taken years. The
Yeah.
pandemic happened, whether you want to believe
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
intentional or not, or someone ate some bat soup in a wet market somewhere in China. If
No.
you want,
No.
whatever you want to believe,
Yeah.
it happened, but it devastated all these economies around the world,
Yes.
and everybody was treating it the same way, and
Yes.
everybody's all these other countries' economies treated it the same way. So
Mm-hmm.
that happened, right?
Yep.
Because we're living, I believe, obviously this is living history here. We're living in history. This takes us back almost to the 1930s. What's going on
Mm-hmm.
today?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's happened. If you go back and read newspapers from the 1930s, books, and all this stuff, the names have changed. Some of the countries have changed, but it's the same
Mm-hmm.
things that are happening, which eventually led into these global conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And in
Mm-hmm.
World War II, we never declared war on Germany, right? It was Japan we declared war on, right? We
Right.
started fighting Japan, and then Germany declared war on us.
Yes. That's the tripartite agreement between Germany, Italy, and Japan. That's correct. And it was
Yeah,
like a mutual defense treaty. There's a time span here, like, for stuff to settle in. I was thinking, even the Spanish American War, the blowing up of the Maine in February, I think it was February 15th, 1898. And 2 months later, we're into the war with Spain, even though the inquiry into who blew up the Maine was not completed. Then you
right.
go to World War One, the blowing up of the torpedoing of the Lusitania with some Americans on board, May 7th, 1915. And it's not until April 12th, 1917, 2 years later, the United States is finally into war. And then you have the Sudetenland controversy with Germany and Czechoslovakia, where the border, talking about borders, the border regions of Czechoslovakia occupied by heavily Germanic populations, Hitler says is threatened, demands a plebiscite. You have the whole Neville Chamberlain thing of appeasement, where the British give in, the French give in, and Hitler's allowed to go ahead and occupy the Sudetenland region of Czechoslovakia. We aren't brought in until technically December the 8th, 1941. So there's a time gap. Something happens. Then we go to war. Now
Right.
here we are, I mean, I
Well,
could talk about
and
Korea, but World War III, now you got, okay, Ukraine,
well,
and how
proxy
long
wars
will
are
it take?
different.
Yeah,
Proxy wars are different. That's when you're funding whatever rebels, and they're funding a rebel,
okay,
and it's cheaper. These
all
proxy
right.
wars are cheaper, and you make a lot of money. Right? When Vietnam a proxy war,
Well,
Afghanistan was a
1964,
proxy
yeah,
war.
Gulf of Tonkin resolution. Again, you have a gap between the Gulf of Tonkin resolution in 64, then finally Johnson's commitment, full commitment of American forces in 65. And that's when it all snowballs. And pretty soon, yours truly has called it for a draft physical once his 2S deferment runs out in the spring of 1970. And, but it had already taken the lives of some of my friends from my class of 66. I already had 3 friends dead
Yeah.
by 68, and then 70 it was like 4 or 5 total. But anyway, yeah, I just want to, we were talking about the format for tonight. I kept thinking there's a time factor here between
Yeah.
something happening and then this, and the money too. So with this thing we're
Well,
in
the
right
money
now,
plays into it. The money,
yes,
the
yes,
money impoverishes the citizens.
yes.
It doesn't hurt the wealthy.
No, our
It,
gallon of gas, man.
we
I
talked about
yes,
inflation before on one of our shows. How the rich use inflation to their benefit.
right.
They buy up assets with zero interest money.
Mm-hmm,
The assets get inflated, right? Due to
mm-hmm,
inflation, it costs more. You have to trade more of your dollars to get whatever asset that is. They've got it at a lower price, and they
mm-hmm.
give it back to you, and then they get to keep the asset they buy for free, which is where it's in assets. It's not in
Yeah.
this paper money.
Okay.
All the paper money you have, it's losing 10%.
Yeah. Wow.
It's you try buying stocks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with a 10% gain, it's not going to happen. So investing in the market right now, if it's not a 12 or 15% gain, which is a unicorn in the stock market, nothing goes up
Yeah.
that high that fast unless there's volatility and all this other
Mm-hmm.
crap and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I don't want to get into that.
Sure.
But, you're happy with 2 to 3% gains,
Mm-hmm.
in the market.
Wow.
5% if you're really good, you know.
Jeez.
So you're not even fight. You're not here. You're still not catching up to this runaway train that the
Yeah.
Federal Reserve has created. And
Yeah.
it's interesting you brought up borderlands because Ukraine in
Yes.
Slavic means borderlands, bloodlands, borderlands. So when you brought up the Czechoslovakia, the border,
Yeah.
they were fighting over the border or
Yeah.
whatever. That's
Sudetenland.
what's
Right.
happening here.
Yep.
So there's so many similarities, and that's why I kind of wanted to say,
Yes.
I
Yes.
wanted to say history not only repeats, yes, it does repeat, but it also rhymes.
Yeah.
Uh, you could go back and look, and we'll do that. But I wanted to show you this real quick. So
Okay.
you're hearing all this stuff all over the news about, Ukraine, and if you watch the news, you think war is rampant. It's just across the country. There's bombs, there's
No.
missiles, there's
Right.
death everywhere. Let me show you, okay, this real quick, and our viewers can see it too. This is what we streamed this last week,
Mm-hmm.
but it was at night because it was 8 o'clock, so it was 3 o'clock in the morning their time. Um, and
Wow.
so I just want to show this. So I went back. Obviously, it would be 3 o'clock in the
Mm-hmm.
morning, but this was during the day. I was watching this earlier
Yeah.
today. So this was during the day. So let me just play this
Cars
little
driving
bit.
around.
Oh wait, there's public
They're
transportation, there's
shopping.
people shopping, there's people out
Wow.
for bike rides, jogging. This is in downtown Kiev,
Wow.
Odessa, Lvov,
Yeah.
Kharkov. I mean, this is, and then there's the border
She's
crossing.
got a shopping bag right there. I
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Look, you'll see a bus drive by. Look, there goes a van. That guy, he's probably a plumber. He's gonna go do
Yeah.
some
Yeah, I
plumbing.
was going to say the same thing.
Okay, look, there's a
He's
box truck on this
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
This
There you
guy's
go.
he's doing some work.
Probably Amazon.
You'll see some people bike riding here in a
Yeah,
minute.
right
I was
there. Yeah,
watching a
right
little bit
there.
of this earlier.
Yep,
Yeah,
right there. Wow. This was so this would have been daytime,
yeah.
their
This was
time.
daytime today. This was today.
Okay. Wow.
Kiev,
There's a
Kajov.
bus, public transportation bus just went
Yeah,
by.
yeah, yeah.
So they're out riding around.
Oh, look, here's a little. What is this? DH. Look, here's another
Yeah,
bus.
yeah. So where's all the destruction? Where's all the carnage and the
Odessa.
bodies
Exactly.
stacked up? There's no
Yeah.
bodies.
Where?
Well, funny because I
So
had
then
a yeah.
they'll say, well, all these people are they've left. There are a lot of people have left. Well, okay,
Well,
then why do you need a bus?
yeah. Why
Look,
shut?
there's a city
Yeah,
bus right there. Why
shut
do you
down
need a
the
city
public.
bus?
Yeah, you don't need a city bus if the people have
You
left.
know, if this
Jeez.
place. Look, here's another one over here on the left. That
Yeah,
yellow
yeah,
bus. Look, there's two of them.
yeah. What are they
There's
doing?
traffic. Yeah.
It's a
I'm
bus.
not saying nothing's happening
No,
there. I'm not saying that this is, but
no.
I'm just saying it's been spun.
Yeah,
There's one side of the story, there's the other
yep.
side of the story, and then
Then
there's
you
the
got
truth.
film footage right there.
If all you watch is CNN,
Hmm.
MSNBC, Fox News, maybe I don't even know Fox News. I don't watch any of these news channels, but
Yeah,
if you're watching these news channels, all you're thinking of is all the destruction and stuff. And I'll tell you why that is. And I
yeah.
have a very interesting uh,
Well, go
video.
ahead. Go ahead because we can see that it's not that. I mean, right here. Here's the evidence. It's not that. There's another
Yeah.
city
Well,
bus.
let me show you how the media
Okay.
does it. Okay.
Okay.
So there was a train station that a lot of the people were fleeing. Okay, or they were using to get out. Right. They were
Yeah.
leaving, and so outside the train station, you don't see a lot of people, right? And you remember we would go. Remember when I moved back down there, and
Yeah.
we would take
Tri-rail.
we take the tri-rail, right? And we
Yep.
got there early, and there wasn't a
Yep.
whole lot of people around. But like about 5 minutes before the train was
Yeah.
to depart, all of a sudden the place was packed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Want to get
Okay,
on? Yeah.
right, because everybody's taking the train for all
Right.
different reasons. Okay,
Sure.
well, so but if you were to like let's say set up a camera and just film that 5 minutes when all these
Hmm.
people show up at the train station, you would think that that train station was just packed with people, right?
Yeah.
The whole time.
And it wasn't.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
not how it works because they know when it's coming and they congregate at that time.
right. So
Yeah. And
again,
even in Miami.
this is just for examples. Again, I'm not saying that
Hmm.
nothing's happening in
No.
Ukraine. Um,
And even your own church, Coral Ridge. Well, I shouldn't mention names, but that you grew up in, they hosted Ukrainian choirs. They went over to Ukraine and sang. And of course, they're getting propagandized. I think some of my fellow church members are getting propagandized by the media and maybe by people that actually live there that want to stoke the fires of this whole thing and fan it to even more, vigilant proportions for the sake of, whatever. I
yeah.
don't know. We'll go on to that. Go ahead. Look at
Yeah,
that.
let me. So
There
this
they
is a
are.
train station in Ukraine, and then you got
Wow.
CNN right there in the middle. Now this,
Yeah.
look, do these people look like they're afraid? Do they
No.
look like they're in
No.
fear? This is just a busy time of the day at the train station, right?
Yeah. And
So
there
there's
she is.
one. There's
Yeah, right
one.
there. Yep.
Do you hear people yelling and all
Yeah,
that? I
sure.
don't,
He got a mask. Guy's got a
screaming.
mask on here.
Okay, so there's one, but wait, it gets better. They're all there, and they're
Hmm.
all the major news outlets are all there.
Yeah.
They're just in this one little area of this train station,
Yeah.
and they're talking about refugees having to flee and all this
Oh,
stuff.
jeez.
Look, they're following them around.
Yeah, sure. The state police. You better believe it.
Well, look, the camera
Yeah. Yeah, the camera. Yeah.
following them
Wow.
around.
Yep.
They're about to interview somebody.
Yep.
You got a guy taking a video of it. He's just hanging out.
But fortunately, you have a live streamer
There's
there.
another guy. Look,
Yeah.
he's got it pointed right on the children. Right?
Yeah.
It's mostly
Yeah.
adults. He picks out these two kids and
Yeah,
he's sitting there
sure.
videotaping these two kids.
Well, it's just like the border where you have the undocumented minors that are crossing the border. Everybody starts crying, but those are staged. Some of them, anyway. Wow.
So I
And
mean,
when
what
was
do you
this?
know? This
When was
was I
this?
don't. This was the other day, but this was
Okay,
in. You could go
rush
on
hour.
CNN and yeah, that's what I was saying. They
Yeah,
set up at a certain time of day when they knew the
yeah,
train station would be busy. They hang out in the main. That's the ticket gate. Okay,
yeah,
that's where you have to go buy your ticket. So of course it's
yeah,
going to be busy,
yeah.
right? And then, oh, look at all these refugees, the blood, they're all fleeing, and it's like, well,
No, they're not.
how do you know these people are fleeing?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I'm sure some of
yeah,
them are, but some of them
yeah,
may just be they need to get
yeah,
to work, or they're going to
yeah,
go, they're going to go visit someplace in Ukraine. Like,
yeah.
who? At this point, I don't know who to believe.
Yeah, they're going to visit Aunt Ludmila over north of Odessa.
Yeah,
Maybe they got their luggage. They have spring break like we do. Yeah, I know. Well, it'd be like down here. It'd be like down here. And one of my administration bosses, I won't mention where, we were talking about this going in. It'd be like, okay, Pompano gets hit, and there's maybe a couple of buildings destroyed, but up in Boca, people are still shopping at the town center mall. It's like, okay,
right.
that
That's what I'm
happened.
saying.
Yeah.
They're
So
saying there's 10,000 Russian troops on the
no, jeez.
on the border of Kiev right now. But if you look at downtown Kiev, there's traffic, there's people shopping, there's people bike riding, there's
I had a
like
I had an undisclosed
like
person.
really.
I had an undisclosed person show me a video of Chernobyl, where the nuclear reactor accident occurred, and that was in Ukraine. Even though it was occupied by Russia at the time, it was in Ukraine, and you had Russian and Ukrainian troops guarding Chernobyl, and they were
Yeah,
barbecuing together. They're sitting there together. This was less than a
right.
week ago.
And you won't
So
see
where's
that
the
on the
war?
news.
You don't see that in the war. I mean, I saw it, so I can't trust any of these people.
Yeah,
All right, it's a bunch of
yeah.
crap.
No, that's what I'm saying.
False
Like
flag.
so,
Yeah,
right. But it's
and it doesn't
it's
take much. It takes a
but
couple of
you're
live
already hearing.
streamers. Yeah,
Yeah, you're already hearing the propaganda
yeah.
in the U.S. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so what if you have to pay a couple bucks at the gas station?
Oh,
It's worth
jeez.
it to save Ukraine. And again, remember, history doesn't repeat; it rhymes. So,
Yeah,
or history repeats and it rhymes. So,
yeah. Sure,
so
it could be both. Yeah.
let me bring this up. Okay, so this is war propaganda from World War One.
Oh,
Turn
yeah.
your silver into bullets.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
all anybody has to do is just go on Google and type in World War One propaganda.
And
And
that's
this
a
is
Yeah. That's A. Mitchell Palmer of the Committee on Public Information. It was a government agency funded by taxpayer money to do nothing but put out posters like this, as well as a woman drowning with her baby into the English Channel. It was a artist rendering because of the Lusitania situation in May 7th, 1915.
oh, look at
That
this
was
one.
just so.
Soldiers eat babies.
Yeah,
That's a
that's yeah.
fact.
Oh wow, that's the German soldier right there.
Yeah. Hmm.
This is the Kaiser's troops, World War One. That probably came out
Look at
right
this one.
before. Yeah,
Gee, I wish I were a man. It's a woman. Well, nowadays
yeah. Wow.
you are.
Yeah, she could. Yeah, jeez. I know. Well, times have
Join the
changed.
Navy. I wish I
Yeah,
were a man. Join the
yeah.
Navy.
All the
Yeah.
wimps are going to join the Navy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Well,
guess
there's
that's what they're appealing to.
I worked with a bunch of army guys, and they had a joke. They're like, "Do you know why the United States made the Navy?" And I was
Oh,
like, "No, why?" And they were like, "To keep all the gay guys out of the army."
oh, geez, we just got shut out.
Yeah.
But I've heard
Well, I'm
that
not
too.
making fun of it. I'm just
No,
repeating a
no,
joke I
and
heard.
that goes back to the Vietnam. I remember hearing that when I was standing in line for my giraffe physical in 1970 that I lost. By the way, that
Look,
I failed.
here's exactly what I was talking about. Lend
Yes,
your 5 shillings to your country and
yeah,
crush the Germans. So let's reword this. Spend $2 more at the gas pump and save
hmm
Ukrainians.
yeah. And there's a lot of stuff online right now when I'm showing videos to kids. Well, and I depend on this for education a lot in my school, YouTube. I depend on them a lot. They have a very good series of things available, but I keep getting interrupted, because it's capitalism, fortunately.
Right, so
That
they're
you
monetized and they
and
have
they're
commercials.
still selling commercials, and it's to aid the Ukrainians.
Yeah.
But yet, in my classroom, while we're watching this stuff that YouTube very graciously and effectively provides for my students on an educational level, I got Russian kids sitting in my classroom, watching this stuff. So I mean, it's just, I mean, they're here in the United States. I'm sorry, they were let in here. They're here. They're nice kids, many of them, almost all of them, the ones I know, the ones I have. But anyway,
Save the wheat, help the fleet, eat less bread. So eat
wow,
less.
eat less bread.
Yeah. So here, let's change it around again. Use less gas to
Yes,
help the Ukrainians.
yeah. There you go. We're at it. We're
That's
in the
where we're
middle of
at.
we're in the middle of war propaganda, and it's nothing
Yeah.
new.
Well,
In
there's
this
different
case,
types of warfare. I mean,
yeah,
you
yep,
have uh, economic war.
yep,
Kinetic war is the actual. That's the hot war. That's the
yep.
bombs. That's the bullets. That's the blood and guts. Okay, that's a hot war, right?
Mm-hmm,
The Cold War, it's kind of like what we're doing now. It's
mm-hmm,
economic sanctions. It's no more trade, no more commodities being
mm-hmm.
traded back and forth. None of it.
Yeah,
Information war, which is the propaganda.
yep, yep,
We're seeing a lot of censorship now.
yep.
You Oh, and I saw this too. I don't have the article up, but YouTube or Facebook will allow hate
Oh yeah,
speech towards
yeah.
Russians.
Towards
Did you
Russia,
see
I
that?
saw that. Yeah, yeah. Wow,
Here's World
man.
War II propaganda. It's kind of the same thing. These were the memes of the old days, right? You
Yes,
know,
yes. That's a good way of putting
we
it.
have memes now. They're called memes. They're on the internet. You'll see them a lot. That's what the beginning of our show. That's all. That's what those are all the memes.
Okay, you're monitoring a lot of this stuff. Do you feel? I don't know, because with school today, I was just getting grades ready for the end of the quarter. Um, so I didn't have a chance to get on too much. But do you think that are the American people picking up on this at all and starting to see some of these things that we're documenting here? I mean, I think $4 a gallon for gas as a place where I can get it at a discount, a massive, well, BJ's Warehouse, like a Costco. But $3.99. I topped off my tank at $3.99 a gallon. That's a lot of money. Now, I,
Yeah.
I can absorb it because I'm probably making a little bit more now at the end of my education career than I was at the beginning. So I can probably absorb that.
Do you
Yeah, but
to an oil cabal?
no,
Do
no,
you
see,
do you want to
no,
have billionaire oil
no, no,
executives?
no, no, no,
Is that who you want to give
no.
it to? Right. Your
Yeah,
hard-earned money you worked hard your whole
yes,
life to get to this point to where you can live comfortable, but
yes,
you're not if you take away all this extra expenses, you're making the
yeah,
same as probably you were making back in 95 or
yeah,
96 or
exactly, exactly.
2001,
Yes,
you
or
know?
even go back to 74. That's where I was thinking when I first came to Florida. But um,
Look at this. We're
yeah,
fighting to prevent this. It's a Nazi boot crushing a church.
yeah, which the Chinese are already doing. Chinese are shutting down churches all over the place. A lot of religious persecution. Canada, really persecuting some of the more conservative elements of the Church of Canada.
Well, and
Trudeau.
we're
Yeah,
we're definitely in this time period where,
yeah,
like, to answer your question, do I think people are
yeah,
are I believe yes. There's a part of the population that is awake. They're starting to
mm,
understand this. It's not like back here in World War II
no,
where you only had three news channels. Uh,
yeah,
you had maybe four or five newspapers, and that was it. That's where you got
mm,
your information.
yeah.
So whatever they told you, that's all you knew.
That's
So it
it.
was
Yep.
very easy to sway public opinion.
Sure.
And all you had to do was pay people to put these posters up everywhere,
Yep.
and so it was very easy to sway public opinion. And whereas nowadays we have the internet,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we can do our own research. We can look into these own things that have happened over the course of history, and we can say, "Hey, man, some of this stuff isn't right. I don't
Hmm.
support Russia, but hey, you shouldn't have
Hmm.
biolabs in Ukraine. What are they doing there? I would want to know
Yeah.
that
I,
question.
I want to
What
know
are they
that.
doing
Yeah.
there? Why
Yeah.
did Obama and all them start trying to say, "Hey, you got to get rid of these things" back in 2005? You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
and you know, everybody was upset with China. Well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Are we being part of the problem? We
Yeah.
just got out of a 2-year pandemic where it killed a bunch of people,
Yeah.
it ruined a bunch of people's lives,
Hmm.
and now here we are. We're doing, and everybody's finding out. And
Hmm.
this isn't a conspiracy theory. Like the lady
No.
Newland or whatever was up
Yeah.
before Congress the other day answering questions, saying, yeah, there are biolabs in Ukraine, and we're concerned that if they get in Russian hands, that the Russians are going to use them.
So
It's like,
yeah.
well, what are they doing there?
Well,
Why are
and
we putting biolabs in Ukraine? And if they are just for like, food and FDA stuff to, so that your
and
cattle and all that doesn't get killed.
and
Well, then why are you worried about?
Lisa, whom you saw earlier, her comment was, "This is all a distraction away from the vaccine and all the stuff going on with that." Which I don't know if we can go there. We won't.
Well,
But
the only thing
yeah,
we can.
yeah,
So Pfizer came out with their study,
yes, yes,
and it didn't look good. It was
no,
9 pages of adverse events. It
yes.
had a 3% death rate.
Wow, wow.
COVID has a less than 1% death rate. So that's not information. I'm just quoting
No, no.
the Pfizer
Pfizer
study.
and the
Uh,
CDC confirmed that.
but
Go
I
ahead.
don't think that they would.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, to
hard to
go through
prove
all
that
this,
this. It's
to go
hard to
through all this
prove.
trouble.
Yeah, that this is a distraction. It's hard to
No,
prove that.
I
It's
think where they want to reset the economies.
yes,
It's we're dealing with globalization versus deglobalization.
yeah.
Okay,
Great reset. Build back better.
right. We're dealing with this coordinated effort to
Yeah.
again reset the currency, just like what happened in 1816
Hmm.
with the British pound, just like what happened in 1914 with the gold standard and the Federal Reserve, just like what happened after World War II with the,
Hmm.
the US dollar because England got obliterated, right? Just what, again, it's
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
cycle of we have
19.
to
Yes.
come
Yeah.
up with a new system on how we exchange money. And the way to do that is to get a war, right?
Yeah.
Reshuffle the deck, pass out the cards again, and the elites can, the central banks and the big higher ups, it's that whole pyramid. Remember, you got the all seeing
Yeah.
eye. So you
Yeah.
got one
Yep.
mega global corporation central
Yep.
bank system, and then you have the different tiers all the way down, and we're at the very bottom.
And the Latin phrase "Novus Ordo Seclorum,"
Yeah, you
New
need a
World
new
Order.
world order,
New
right?
World.
Right. It's not like this, demonic, whatever you want to
No.
call it, like this cabal that drinks children's blood and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well.
It's a group of super wealthy people that have
Yeah.
been in charge. Their
Yeah.
families have been in charge for a long, long,
Yeah.
long, long time.
Yep.
And these are the degenerate psychopaths now that grew up in this system, and they don't care,
Yeah.
So you have to have a casus belli. We've talked about that before, a false flag.
Cause of war. Yep.
You got to have a way to kind of get the public involved. Otherwise you have have revolting.
Yeah.
And I think too, to go back to what your question was before, do I think people are kind of waking up to this? I
Yeah.
do, but I also think that I think America is kind of getting towards a civil war, a second civil war,
Hmm.
because we've been attacked with so much, with the racism and the race
Hmm.
baiting and all this stuff, you know, uh, we're all right wing extremists. If you don't go all the
Hmm.
way with the liberal left, you're a right wing conspiracy,
Hmm.
right wing extremist, and you're a homophobe and a racist, and you're all these. It's
Hmm.
just this constant
Hmm.
every day you're just being bombarded with it,
Yeah.
and
Well, I don't know if
pumping
that.
money,
Yeah.
paying people to stay home, not
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
not feel good about yourself. The only thing you feel good about is bashing someone on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the only
Yeah.
thing, it's all the virtue
Yeah.
signaling. Wear your mask.
Yeah.
That
Jeez.
gives you a purpose.
Yeah. Well.
Trump's a whatever.
Yeah. I know. Jeez. Yeah. And the
But
and the January 6th insurrection had 170 FBI paid informants.
well, we don't know
Well,
that.
well, that's what
Don't
the
know if we can talk about that.
Rosenberg of New York Times said that. He said they were
Right.
all over the place, and he was there.
But
But
that
that's
was an
yeah, it's
unofficial,
true.
like,
Yeah, he's just He's a
and he wasn't
Pulitzer
brought.
Prize
He
winning
didn't
guy,
say
but
this before. I know, but he didn't
yeah,
say this before
no, he
Congress.
didn't. No, he didn't.
This wasn't a written statement
No,
that's been
nope,
verified. This
nope.
was a
He
online
yeah,
video that
he
people could say was a deep fake and all this
yeah,
stuff.
and
It's
he
an
was
unofficial statement.
right. He wasn't under oath. That's true.
Right.
I
It's an
get
unofficial. He was on a
okay.
Tinder date trying to get laid with an undercover journalist. That's what he was. That's how they get him. That's how they rope him in.
Oh
You
gosh.
don't know that
Oh
Project
no.
Veritas?
No,
That's
no.
how they rope them in.
A
They get it. They
Tinder
catch
date.
them on Tinder and
Oh
online
gosh.
dating, or the girl will like they'll pay.
Oh,
She's an investigative journalist, but she's
oh,
undercover, and so these guys are basically trying to get laid, and so they're taking
oh
them out to
jeez.
dinner. They're going out on dates, and they have a hidden camera, and they're getting this guy to like spill the beans on stuff, thinking that she's like really into him, and then and then they go home. They give it to what's his nuts.
Oh,
Uh, O'Keefe, and
yeah.
uh, and
Yeah.
then and then he makes a
Yeah.
video and he uploads it to
Yeah.
Twitter and all the other
Oh my
places, and
gosh.
it's great, man. It's a great scheme.
Is this where we bring in our sponsor, Living Color World, or is that not
For
appropriate?
what?
For Easter.
Oh,
Yeah, Easter's
they have
coming
a
up.
March savings special thing
Okay,
going on.
okay, but it won't be long after that. People need to think ahead.
All
And
right. Well, we're supposed to be talking about World War
I
Three
know, I know. I just wanted to
and
throw that
world
in.
wars. Okay.
One of my
Uh,
favorite students of all time. I had to bring her situation in Living Color World. Go ahead, continue. Yeah, yeah. Let's
so
go.
when they
Yeah,
start when a president of the United States is saying, "Hey, that's World War III," or if we do that, that'll
yeah.
happen. They're basically telling you it's coming.
Or let's go get him.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, what?
basically telling
Yeah,
you it's coming.
yeah,
And
yeah.
uh, so and then what else did you have happen this week? I thought was very interesting, and you and we had talked about it right as the show was starting. Uh, Biden has issued an executive order on cryptocurrency.
Jeez,
So they're
that's
just
just all.
trying to,
Boom. Yeah, there it is.
yeah, they're just cutting people's wealth, man.
Yeah.
Cutting people's way to earn a living to
Now,
make a
what
little
will this do?
coin.
This is important. You have a way more
Uh,
information on this than I do. Take it away. What's going on here? Go.
well, this is an article from CoinDesk. I didn't read his executive order, so I don't know verbatim what he's trying to
Okay.
do. I
Okay.
can tell you what they don't like about
All right.
cryptocurrency is that it's decentralized.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
it's not run by any central bank. It's just people trading back and forth. It's kind of like the whiskey rebellion, Dad.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so so as
1794, October
so associate
1794.
cryptocurrency with the whiskey rebellion, and you
Yeah.
could tell
Yeah.
people about that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sure. Well, no, it was that farmers in Western Pennsylvania, they really didn't have currency to trade, so they used whiskey, a commodity, to trade.
Mhm.
And so that was not part of the system that the United States wanted to put forth vis-a-vis Hamilton and Washington. So they deemed it to be insurrectionary, and Washington mobilized. This is George Washington actually put on his general's uniform and mobilized the New Jersey and Pennsylvania militia to go to Bedford, Pennsylvania, which is now a turnpike exit on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, to go after the insurrectionist farmers. How dare they come up with an alternate form of currency
Right.
besides the greenback, not the greenbacks, but it was the continental currency, which was still being in use somewhat until the United States got its own set up. And the New Jersey and Pennsylvania militias, some people say, unfortunately, ran from the site of a United States Army mobilized under Article 2, Section 2, Commander in Chief Clause by George Washington, who was then president, October of 1794. And that whole currency thing, using whiskey as currency, dissolved. And the Whiskey Rebellion was stopped. And a United States type currency survived, for better or for worse.
Right. Well,
Okay.
that's basically what's happening with the
Crypto.
cryptocurrency.
Wow. I have a
It's
young
being
lady.
used,
I have a
and
young,
their
yeah.
reasoning is they're saying, well, people are using it to buy drugs, and
Okay.
because you can't track it, so we can't catch these. It's for criminals, and sure, but people use
Yeah.
cash to buy drugs. So
Sure.
what are you
Sure.
gonna do? Some people buy drugs, they write the guy a check.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm
I
just
could
saying,
I
like,
could go off on that for. Go
is
ahead.
it the drugs or is it the money?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
where's the problem? You don't want them
yeah,
buying drugs? Okay, well,
yeah,
don't give out crack pipes and
yeah.
meth pipes, those
No,
smoking kits that the government
no.
spent $30 million on.
Jeez.
Don't create safe
Oh,
places in California
yeah.
for people to go
San
shoot up.
Francisco. Go to the
Yeah,
park. Go to the
yeah,
park in San Francisco where they have all those things where
yeah.
you can get clean
You
needles.
get your needle, you could shoot up, you get a little room you could shoot up
Yeah.
in, and then you're
Zurich,
good.
Zurich, Switzerland has that. They have
But
clean
then they
needles.
complain that people are using cryptocurrency to buy drugs.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well.
Well, it's the same, but it's the same mentality. Like, you got to understand the mentality. Like, so here we are with the current situation. We cut Russia off from. We're not buying any more oil to hurt
Jeez.
their economy, right?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
cut off
They don't
Russia's
care.
oil. No, listen, we cut off
Yeah.
Russia's oil to hurt their economy. Biden cut our oil. What's that supposed? And says it's good for the economy.
No. Bull crap.
So
Yeah.
you see what
He's.
I
Yeah.
mean? It's
No. No. And
how
hopefully.
does cutting our, like, first day in office, what, he shut down the Keystone pipeline.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, you ended the leases,
Yep.
put more red tape on people getting permits to drill and all this stuff. And then he says, we're cutting Russia's oil to hurt their economy. And it's like,
Yeah. Well, you're doing it.
okay,
You're
so
hurting
what
us.
did you do to us
Yeah.
then?
Well, that's it. There it is.
Like, okay.
Yep. Yep. Freudian psychology. There it is. He's. Yeah. I know. And he's
Well,
not.
the first casualty of war is always the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
We're
the
having a
truth.
hard.
It's the
We're having a hard time finding
propaganda.
it.
It's the propaganda. It's all that stuff. You know, I think we've been in some form of economic warfare for a while. Trump started it with the trade wars and all that stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I would say that to kind of get us up to this recent, obviously it's been going on for a while, but it's really coming. It's like we were talking about. These wars didn't start
Mm,
overnight. They took years and years and years to kind of
mm,
build up to this one main event that kind of brought
mm,
everybody on its head, right? So
mm.
here we are, it's been years and years and years and years, and now we're getting to this point, this breaking point where, we're either we're going to fish or we're going to cut bait.
Yeah.
There's escalation and then there's de-escalation.
Mm,
Do you think that anything's going on right now is de-escalatory? Like,
no.
are they really trying to de-escalate the situation?
No.
Everything I'm seeing is escalation,
Yeah. Yes.
economic sanctions,
Yep.
trying to get countries to take, and they just they
Fanning.
bill
Yeah.
last night, in the dead of the night, $1.3 trillion, 14 billion of that goes to Ukraine. They signed that last night, dead of the
Yeah.
night.
Yep. Nobody saw it.
Nobody saw it.
And plus, you have the fanning the flames of false propaganda.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
everybody,
Well, the
and
news
it's
cycle,
working.
like I said,
It's
it's
working.
working. Yeah.
Yeah. In my own situation of people that fellow church members, people I work with, they're all buying it. They're all buying it. I mean, I don't see anybody. Very few people do I see that are saying, "Let's stop and take a collective breath of sense
Yeah.
and try
Everybody
to
kind
figure
of
out."
back up.
They're all jumping on the same thing, like COVID and masks and 6 foot, and I don't know. Yeah, and now I didn't see Ukraine on fire, which I know YouTube took down. I haven't seen that yet. I don't know where I can get it.
Oh, the
Like,
Oliver Stone
yeah,
movie.
yeah, Oliver
It's
Stone.
on Rumble. Your other son sent a
Yes.
link to it, so I can.
Okay.
You
Okay.
just watch it. You can watch it on your phone
Okay. I will.
right from
Uh,
there.
Oliver Stone's the one that, as a
Or you
classical
can actually
liberal.
share it to your email, and then you can watch it on your
Okay.
computer.
Uh, but Oliver Stone is a classical liberal.
Yeah, if you've lost Oliver
Yeah.
Stone, dude,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And he was the one that 1991 JFK, he said essentially the same stuff about the whole JFK assassination that we're saying about the Ukrainian crisis right now. So it's almost like, conservative
well,
right
what did
wing.
he say?
Well, he said it was a conspiracy. It's all planned, all set up far in advance. I mean, he documented the whole. If you watch JFK, which I think people should go back and do now, even though we did cover it, in our previous episodes, you should watch the actual movie JFK. Oliver Stone, classical liberal left winger, Democrat, registered Democrat, produces a film that kind of sets up what we're talking about right here with the Ukraine. So I mean, political parties fall apart. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a sense backing up everything we're talking about with the whole pandemic. Anthony Fauci. I mean, this is Bobby Kennedy's son. Okay, you
Yeah.
want to talk about Fabian, quasi Fabian socialist left wing Democratic Party branch now coming on board. Essentially, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't want to say I'm on board with him. We're on board maybe with him. I mean, I agree with everything he said about this pandemic, and you don't hear anything about Fauci anymore. He's gone. Where'd he go?
Well,
Yeah,
we're in a new
yeah. It's
phase of
a new
the of
distraction. A new
we're in the
distraction.
well, we're in the next phase of this now. Do you
Great
want to call
reset.
it managed decline or controlled demolition? That's your choice, but they
Build
both
back better.
produce,
Great reset.
yeah, both produce the same
Yeah,
result. I think it's again what we've been talking about throughout the show. It's
yeah,
globalization versus deglobalization. You got people at the
yeah,
top that want to bring in this global corporate structure system where everything's digital. You
yeah.
have your digital wallet. They can shut you on or off for anything,
Wow.
bad speak, whatever. If you're not
Jeez.
jaywalking, you get a ticket right away. They can track and trace you
Wow.
everywhere you go. you know, the pandemic was just kind of an introduction into that system, get everybody using a vaccine passport and get everybody used to,
Mask.
towing the line. And then, you know, but is it falling apart? I don't know, because if you take the side of the people who aren't for globalization, which I believe that's Russia
Yeah,
and some of
yeah.
these other countries
I
that
do
are
too.
now, if you support in any way, you're considered now a traitor. So that's why I'm not taking a side. I'm an
No,
American. We're
right.
Americans. Like,
And Russia and China will filter out the stuff that benefits them, even though they're
right.
probably now more anti-globalist. They will filter out everything, and when they can, they will side with the globalists if it'll advance their national
Yeah.
agenda, and then they will, not do that if it'll,
Well, and I'm
whatever.
anti-war too. I
Yeah.
don't want anybody. I don't want anybody being
No.
killed. I
No.
think there's enough room on this planet for everybody to kind of get along and
Yeah.
and do your thing. Now, I don't get along with everybody. Certain people don't like me. I don't like certain
No.
people, but that doesn't mean I have to go like
Right.
be with you all the time. And you don't have to be with me. We go.
Right.
You got that other side of the mountain. I got mine.
Yep. Yep.
But tribalism, it's we're it's just tribalism, and people are run by
Mm,
emotions, and so once you start shooting bombs and driving in tanks and killing civilians, that draws up a lot of emotions from
sure.
people, and so they get very angry, and then that makes them say stuff like what we hear now is, "Oh, I don't mind paying in a couple extra bucks for gas," or
Jeez.
what we saw in
Yeah.
World War II.
Yeah.
Oh, eat less bread. Eat, save the wheat for the fleet. Or turn your silver
Yeah.
into bullets. It's the
Yeah.
same. It's that same history
Yeah.
rhymes.
No. No. You're right.
We're in this, but here
Yep.
we are.
Here we are.
Living history. I say we're in the 1930s
Yep.
somewhere, right before
Yeah.
World War II. That's what I think.
Yep. Yeah.
How about
Interesting you
you?
say that. Yeah. No.
How
I.
about
I.
you?
I think we're late 1930s. I think that's
Yeah,
where we're at.
right
Yep.
up to World War II.
Because
Now here
I
we are, World War
with
III.
with the border of Sudetenland, that was 37, 38. So we're in that paradigm of time before Pearl Harbor and the big explosion of something, whether it's false flag or not, which I've already talked
Well,
about
it'll
Pearl
probably
Harbor.
be
Yeah,
cyber attack.
yeah, that's what
They're
Klaus Schwab says it will be a cyber attack. He's already
yeah,
predicted that.
cyber attack or a
World
nuke.
Economic
Here
Forum.
they are. They're setting up this
Yep,
biolab. Have
yep.
you noticed that narrative now? It's this nuclear plants, nuclear facilities, biolab.
Biological labs. Yeah,
You know
Chernobyl
what I
and,
mean?
and six labs run by the State Department. State Department already admitted it. Pentagon.
They're starting to set
Yeah,
it up. They're
yeah.
they're
They
they're
already said
starting
we
to
have them, and
yeah,
Russia bombed those.
they're giving us little hints.
Yeah,
Oh, that'll
sure.
be World War III. Don't kid yourself. No fly
Yeah,
zone. Oh no, we're not going to do that. That'll be World War III. Next day, oh, we're going to give the
yeah,
jets to Poland. We're
Yeah.
gonna have
Jeez.
Poland give the jets.
Yeah. Jeez.
Like
I
it's
know.
like so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like and then Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Someone needs to assassinate Putin. A
Yeah.
member of Congress is
She said
asking
that.
for
Yeah.
the assassination
Senator.
of a nuclear power.
Yeah. From South Carolina. Who would have thought? Lindsey Graham.
I
Oh,
mean,
man.
so they're setting it up.
Yeah. Even the Republicans are in disarray, if that'll
That's what
help
I was
people.
saying.
Yeah.
If you go back to the like you said the late 1930s
Yeah.
with the economical situations,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that was going on right up until then, even if you go look at what was happening in Europe with Germany and all that, and you just
Mm-hmm.
replace Germany with Ukraine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just like we did with the when we were looking at those war memes, those propaganda
Yeah.
posters.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
just say instead of trade in your bullets for trade in your silver for bullets at the post office and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, if you just say okay, hey, save spend a couple bucks on
Mm-hmm.
gas to support the Ukraine, it's the same
Mm-hmm.
type of situation. And I don't know what the main event will be. Okay,
We
I
don't
don't
know.
know it.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor, right? That's what
Yeah. Who
got
knows?
Americans all drummed up to
Yep.
go
Yeah.
declare war on Japan, right?
Right.
Same thing was kind of happening in World War One. You had the Lusitania.
Mm.
What that was then it was it, but wasn't it assassination? There was an
World
assassination in
War
World
One.
War
Yeah.
One.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were blown
But
up.
what got America into it?
Well, that's much later. That would be basically the Committee on Public Information and all the propaganda. And then, of course, that's a good point. I think it was Woodrow Wilson's just ability to push through, very charismatic president in the spring of 1917. The British are losing, the French are losing, the Germans are about to collapse everything. If they do that, Western Europe will disappear. What are you going to do? And that was kind of his push. And all of a sudden, bringing up the Lusitania again from 2 years before, uh, that kind of helped push it
Yeah,
over. And some of the Lusitania investigation, which wasn't complete. I mean, the British were, as we already said in the previous episode, anyway, they were using passenger ships to carry all sorts of stuff over from America to Britain for their war effort. So it's really hard to nail down. I think it was just a continual hammering in the media, Committee on
yeah.
Public
Just kind of
Information, A. Mitchell Palmer, and just,
wore everybody
yeah,
down, and then
and
when they
yeah,
finally
finally,
declared war, it was like
yeah,
okay, well, fine, get
yep,
it over with. So
yeah,
that's kind of what brings us back. We'll kind of wrap this all
yeah,
up.
okay,
World War III.
yeah,
When we talked earlier that history, when you look back in history, you think of it kind of in a
hmm,
condensed version of it. Like it only
right,
happened within a few months. No, these things took years. And so here we
hmm,
are.
here we are,
We're very good at kind of predicting some stuff. We
yeah,
don't know when, or when we use history to do that, we don't know when the big event
hmm,
will be.
yeah,
But we do recognize that currently in this situation, in this time period we're in, the drums of war are a pounding.
yeah, they
Okay,
are,
and
yep,
you got the
massive,
fog. We don't know. We don't know really what's going on, but a lot of people are saying a lot of things, and it makes you wonder why they're escalate. We talked about
yeah,
escalation versus
yeah,
de-escalation. Are we in an environment where it seems like they're trying to de-escalate things? I don't see that.
yeah,
I see an environment of escalation,
escalation, yep,
and you're going to get to that one main event or a series of events that are going to happen, and
yeah,
it's gonna
well,
happen.
hopefully it'll turn back, but I don't know. We'll
I hope
see.
everybody bought some non-perishable foods
Yes, we have
and
some.
stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, you never know what's going to happen. So
We
just,
filled up our cars. We'll probably do it again here. We're keeping track of that and non-perishable food. That's correct. Yep.
this is from
Got
one
to
of
got to
our
prepare.
viewers,
Okay.
Hydro Hose, selfish. I just want you all to myself.
Wow.
Welcome
Okay.
to the internet,
Jeez.
Dad.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. Sounds like my neighbor 2 streets over. Sorry.
All right. Well,
Yeah. Okay.
World War III.
World War
Folks,
III
get
and
ready. Get ready.
Easter's around the corner. Living Color World. Check it out.
Yes, Living Color World right
Do
here.
it now. Get
The
ahead of the game.
our sponsor.
Yep.
We thank Living Color World, our
There they
sponsor
are.
right
There they
there.
are. Yep.
Make sure you
Okay.
guys go check them out. It's
Over
on
there. That's right.
eBay.
Yep.
Here, I'll pull up their card real quick. There it is.
Yeah. Good. Yep.
Anything else, Dad, before we
No,
go? Or
that's it.
sorry,
That's
Mr.
it.
Joynt.
Living Color World is started by one of my all-time favorite students in 48 years of teaching. So go to that site. It's a great site. Okay, I'm done. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah.
Fire the missiles. No.
Hopefully, we'll be here next week, folks. We haven't
Yeah.
separated
Okay.
from a nuclear holocaust, or we
Yeah.
don't lose internet
Jeez.
from a cyber attack.
Or
All
I
right,
lose my
everybody,
hat.
have a good night.
Okay,
Have a
you
good
too.
weekend.
All right.
Bye, bud.
See you. Bye. See ya. Love you.